Hey, thanks for stopping in. Today's webinar, we're going to do some more in Canva. And I have a fun flowchart that my friend Mandy put together for her business that she needs to turn into a web graphic. Right now, it's just written on a lined piece of paper. Let me flip the screen over so you can see that. One sec here. Where is it? No. I guess I can't show it. It's not letting me pick one. Okay, back to Canva. All right, so we're on Canva. We're going to create a flowchart. So we're going to click the plus sign here to find one that is large enough for her flowchart. We're going to go with infographic. And her flowchart is pretty funny. It's a conflict resolution map. I was laughing pretty hard when I read it. There is some profanity in there. She's a comedian. So don't be offended by some of the words used. So for creating an infographic or a flowchart, you can pick one of these Canva layouts that's pre-done and just plug your own information in there and change the colors as fit your business or need for it. But we're going to make one that's a little different. She has it all styled out already. None of these seem to match her style. So let's go ahead and go with a plain one. So under search, this tab here is where you get your shapes. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I didn't even check. Is anyone logged in? No one's logged in. That's okay. Helps from presenting to everyone. There we go. So here's shapes. We can do squares, circles. Oh, it closed. Triangles. Nothing really. The ones that say free are the ones we're going to work with. I don't see anything that works for arrows and stuff like she has. So let's get out of shapes. Let's go with lines. So I've got quite a collection of lines here that we can work with. So these are the ones that I would most likely work with. Put one of those there. I can always duplicate it. Let's see what's under illustrations. It's taking a minute. Okay, those likely we won't use. Icons maybe. It's not clicking when I click it the first time. So we got some icon options for her flowchart. I don't think any of these will fit. Maybe. We'll see. But mostly we're going to start with text. So her illustration is titled Conflict Resolution Map. Let's go ahead and plug that in. Let's give it a nice purple color. That one I like. Let's give it a nice start here. So the first question that she has on here, the top of the conflict resolution map, ask yourself, are you being an ass? And that is in the first square. So let's go ahead and put shrink that a little bit. So here is square one. We want it centered, so we're going to try to get those little lines that tell us it's centered. Now let's put a nice little square behind it from search, shapes. Come on, shapes, load. And then I know she likes the color yellow, but I'll just go with the red one. I can fix it. I'm going to shrink that down, put it over top of the text, shrink it in a little bit, and we'll go with yellow. Ooh, that's an ugly yellow. That's a nice bright one. And now it's covering the text, so we want to tell it to go back. I just clicked on it. Tell it to go back. Let's make sure it's centered. Looks. There we go, centered. So the first arrow goes down to no, and on the other side, yes. Let's move this giant one out of the way. I'm going to shrink it to get out of the way. So these don't really have too much space. We'll go with black arrows so they stand out. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to move it as soon as I get a chance. And we want to spin it. We'll just go back to shapes and get a different one. This one looks nicer. Let's stick with this one. I'm going to delete this guy out. I just clicked it and hit the delete key on my keyboard, not backspace, delete. Copy this one. Spin it. No, spinning it doesn't work. So you can spin these. Let's add some text in here. We've got a yes and a no to put in here. So yes. Text. No. Now let's line this one up to match that one. There we go. Okay, and then from the yes, we have two options. No, we have one option. Take a nap. So let's grab another. Let's go with this one. The font's purple. Okay, so if you answer no, she has it going to, are you sure? Needs to be purple. Okay, so are you sure? We have the option okay, maybe a little, and no. I got these backwards on here, I just noticed. Let's put these back here. Come on. Need a straight arrow. We need to shrink these fonts down. Okay, take a nap. This is kind of funny. Okay, now we need another arrow. Actually, I'll just duplicate this one. It would be great if this text wasn't overlapping it. Click it and rotate it. Okay, next section. Maybe a little needs to take. Okay, that does. We got another no here. Let's duplicate. Click off it and grab it. Rotate it. Click and rotate. Canva's a little finicky. You gotta click the shit out of stuff sometimes. You'll get the hang of it. So we've got a no. And that no takes you down to are they being an ass? And they is underlined. So let's grab some text. I'll use my subheading text again. We'll call it size 16. We'll make it purple. It's not letting me Control A to highlight it, so I'm going to manually highlight it with a mouse. And here's where Canva turns into a douche. Sometimes I hate Canva. This is why I prefer Photoshop, but that's okay. All right, so it's broken. When this happens, I let it save. I close it out after I know for sure it's saved. I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to refresh canva.com so it pops up in here. This is going to happen frequently. Working in a web browser is not a perfect science. So here's the graphic we were just making. I just click on it to reopen it. All right, so we've got subheading here. Come on, click in. There we go. Let's delete it out. So you can't underline a word individually, but we can change the color of that specific one. Turn it yellow, but that's really hard to read on a plain background. So I'm going to click in here. Let's make this 2 lines. Shrink this down. Click out of it so I can grab it and drag it. Where's the placement? Okay, underneath now. Let's make it 3 lines because I need to drag it further. Let's duplicate this arrow, off click, click and drag, lined up, dotted line's perfect. Work this up a little. So let's give this a background image. We can go to background and we can pick a solid color. We can make it hot pink. That seems just really bright. So let's dim it down to a nice purple color, maybe a little more on the pink side. I don't like it. Alternatively, we can use a free. I think that looks terrible. That looks terrible too. These all look terrible. You can upload your own by coming to uploads, upload an image and stick it in there. So let's see, what do I have that might be useful for Mandy's infographic? Probably a whole lot of nothing. I haven't really made any infographics in Canva. We can use this nice purple one maybe. I'm going to stretch it so it's huge. Make it darker. Now I can go to filter here and we can choose different pre-configured filters to see what looks good. That blends too much, you can't see the text. That blends a bit over here where it says take a nap, you can't really read it. Let's leave it on normal. Let's turn the brightness down. It looks cheesy, I don't like. Let's stretch it bigger. Stretch it even bigger. Click and drag. I don't want too much darkness. That vignette, it's called a vignette when it has darkness around the edge. I really hate it. So let's go with this. Let's put this in white text. We can do this in yellow text and ditch the yellow background. Just click it and hit delete. And let's change these fonts from purple to white. Much easier to read. Let's do white, and then we'll highlight. Look, they stayed yellow for us. Perfect. Looking better. Okay. Let's go back to the map. So there's two options for are they being an ass. Yes is below it and no is to the right of it. So let's grab some more of these. Copy, off click, drag it down, line it up. There we go. And then we need one to go in this direction. Copy, click off, click and drag. Line it up with the one above it. So to the right was yes. No, to the bottom was yes. Let's duplicate this. Can we duplicate text? Copy text. I'll shrink it. Off click. Grab. Make sure it's lined up. Duplicate a no. Copy. Off click. Grab. line it up. Let's shrink this up here a bit. There we go. So if they say no, we have an arrow going all the way back to the top to ask yourself, are you being an ass? So we're going to take one of these and flip it around. We'll click copy, click and drag. We're going to rotate upright. And then to do this, put it backwards so it's not through the text. You might have to hit back a few times. Hit no so it's centered with the arrow. That's not very well centered. Click it. Good enough. That's centered. Okay. All right, so I can hardly read what she has here. Can you articulate your feelings? I think it says. If it's wrong, she can just tell me. I'll come back and fix it. Size 16, enter. And we want it to be white text. Let's grab it and move it out of the way. Let's put it up here. Might need to shrink this down a little just to make it fit better. Let's try 14, 12. Copy this arrow, off click and drag. That looks better. Okay. So we need one of these guys, copy, off click, drag it over here. And then I'm going to stretch it downwards. Oops, no, I want to spin it. Let's off click it and then try to click and drag it. There we go. All right, so we need to duplicate one of these. Off click, drag, and put it over here. That leads to yes. So let's duplicate a yes here. Click and drag here. And then yes leads to the bottom answer. So we'll go over to this yes. Do you give a shit? Let's put that in here. This girl's hilarious. I love you, Mandy. You're hilarious. So we need font size 16. White text. So put that here. So shrink down, click and drag. I'm going to copy this one, grab it here, and then I'm going to rotate it. Oopsie. There we go, that's straight now. Click and drag. From there, that needs to be over this way more. Copy and no. And then this no goes right back up to take a nap. So we need a better way. Let's scoot this sideways a little more. And we'll use one of these. Off click, grab. We need to shrink it a little bit. Right about there. Click on it and rotate a little. Oh, rotating the wrong way. All right. I think that works. And then if you answer yes to do you give a shit, let's give it a arrow. Put a yes in there. Copy. The reason I copy these every time is just so the format stays the same. You don't end up with one with the wrong font size or wrong text. So yes, and that leads to the end box. Let's put the text in there. Font size 16, white, and it says, tell them how you feel. Not a sonnet about why they are an ass. So let's shrink that to 12 maybe. Put it here. So we need this one duplicated. I'll click and grab. Shrink it a little bit. And we need to copy this one. Off click, drag it down here, and rotate it. Or I could have just grabbed this one, if that's okay. Stretch that back long again. Okay. And I think we are done. Just arrow this down a little bit. So there's Mandy's awesome flowchart for conflict resolution map. I think it came out pretty good. Hopefully she likes it. Not too bad for a Canva creation. So to download this, I'm just going to hit the download button and then save for web. And go pop it in over to Mandy through email. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. While that saves, I'll hop back over here. Looks like we got one viewer. And we can turn the Q&A on. So if you hit Q&A, you can go ahead and submit questions. New questions? Let me check the chat box. All right, I'm going to end the broadcast. Feel free to ask questions below the video in the chat box, comment box. And until next week, share some links of what you make.